Live better and longer with the Fitzness Show, hosted by fitness expert, author, and TV personality Fitz Koehler. She'll tell you why diets are dumb, supplements are snake oil, and the truth about how you can earn a lean, hard, pain-free, and athletic body. Now for our favorite bossy blonde, Fitz Koehler.
Well, hi team, I'm Fitz Koehler, your incredibly bossy fitness pro from fitzness.com, and welcome to the Fitzness Show. Today we have a big show for you. I am so excited because I have a professional bull rider. That's right, y'all, a professional bull rider. And I have so many questions because I've been fascinated with the sport for forever. And if you didn't know it, you haven't been paying attention. I just love everything about cowboys and the horses and the bulls and the boots and the hats and all the things so much. And so I've got one. And I lassoed a cowboy and I said, come here onto the Fitzness Show. And he said, yes. So before we get there, if you haven't done so yet, you're not paying attention. Order, use, supercharge the exact formula for fitness, weight loss, and longevity, available now everywhere. But if you order it at fitzness.com, I autograph every copy, put your little Fitzy sticker in there and send it out with love. Also, if you haven't done so yet, click subscribe. And then not only subscribe wherever you listen to the Fitzness Show, click download. That way, if you are in a weird little tunnel and you have no Wi-Fi and no cell reception, boom, you can hear me. I'll be with you if you've already clicked download. And that's free to do. It's just smart. And of course, you're smart. So now I'm moving on to the good stuff. I'm moving on to my guest. And again, I'm very excited. The poor guy has no idea what he's about to be hit with, but he's a professional bull rider. In fact, he's retired because he rode those dang bulls so dang hard that he messed with his brain. It seems like his brain's fully intact now, but yeah, tons of head trauma, as you can imagine. And that Stetson didn't work well enough protecting the head. We're going to ask about that. He's also a speaker and he's an author. His book is Knocked Out, but Not Down. And coming from my background as a competitive kickboxer, I can tell you that my sport, way wimpy compared to bull riding. It is one of the most athletic, violent, and exciting sports on planet Earth. If you haven't been before, you need to put it on your agenda. Make it happen. And I will kind of shush up now and introduce to you Mr. Nick Morrison. Welcome to the Fitzness Show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on. I'm glad that you said the not anymore, because I didn't want people to be like, well, I don't see him riding anywhere. It's 2004 was my career-ending injury, so it's been a little bit since I got hurt. But yeah.
Well, you know what? It's been a little bit since I fought in the ring too, but it's still something I did and something I know like the back of my hand. And you know, I ain't as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was, right?
Yeah,
So,
I don't think I would be even remotely good as I once was. Now I don't. Of course, with my passing out issues with my brain injury, I probably wouldn't even last nod my head. So I don't know if I'd want to get on a bull now anymore. Doesn't mean I don't wake up in a cold sweat dreaming about it about once a week and craving it. But I mean, it's been 20 years, and I still get my adrenaline running when I smell rosin or dirt or any of that. So
oh my gosh. I'm like, well, I can assure you this. Having a human as an opponent is so much fairer than having a bull.
and it's really people. That's something people don't realize about riding bulls, is that bulls are extremely intelligent animals, extremely intelligent, and then they can feel you. Like a fly will land on their back and they'll twitch just right where that fly is, so they know exactly where you're at. And these bulls are bred to buck like that. They love bucking. I mean, this in their bloodline. It's just like a racehorse. I mean, they love everything about it, and so it's a chess match. It's a lot like kickboxing, a lot like UFC. It's you're feeling your opponent out in the chutes is where a lot of head games happen. That bull's feeling you out, like, and there's just a lot of, they'll lean on your leg really hard against the side, just little things that they do, jumping around, laying down, just always trying to get an advantage. And once that gate cracks, it is a full strategy, and you're, there, if you get beat out of the chute, you're playing catch up. If you can get ahead of them, then it's this fun chess. I think I miss that side of it more than I do just the athletic side of it. The really good bucking bulls, they're very smart, and so it's very fun because every jump is different, and where you can train for an opponent like with boxing or football or by watching film. bulls they'll do the exact if you so much as if you know that bull spins to the left and you throw your body to the left, they'll feel that and they'll go to the right every time. Like they do not they may buck the same every single time, but when you expect them to that one time, they're not going to buck like that. So it's every jump has to be different, and you have to approach it. You have to go back to home base and just approach every jump as trying to be in position for the start of the next jump.
So there I go with it being the most exciting sport. I mean, gosh, what are we talking about weight wise? 2 to 3,000 pounds?
Yeah, so 1,600 to big in 22, the really big bulls. If they get too heavy, it's actually not healthy for them. It's dangerous for them. They can break their back just from the impact of hitting the ground. So you'll have them in that 1,600, maybe 1,500, but not
Okay.
very, and they have to be pretty electric to be able to kind of handle it. But yeah, in that 1,600 to 22 at the most. But I mean, that's when they step on you, 1,600 pounds with them landing and pushing off even if it's small bull, it hurts. So that,
Okay.
yeah. I had a bull step on my head in my senior year in high school, and I wore a helmet. I was one of the first bull riders to wear a helmet. I started riding a helmet in 1994, 95. And then Brent Thurman got killed at the NFR. Bull stepped on his head. NFR is like the World Cup Super Bowl of rodeo, and it killed him. And so you started seeing helmets more. And so I had one of the very first prototype Bull Tough helmets and rode with that. But this bull stepped on it and broke the helmet and cracked my head and give me all kinds of issues. And that was my senior year in high school. And so that I'd already had some concussions, but that was the one that really kind of started the downward spiral. And then I had about 20 over the next 4 years. So it was a pretty rough professional career. I broke C2 in my neck my rookie year, come back from that, break T10-11 in my back. My second year, shoulder injuries, third year, fourth year career was over. So my pro career, I spent more time riding the couch than I did riding bulls, but I still was able to make it there and compete there when I was healthy.
Okay, so let's back up. How does one more specifically, how did you become a bull rider?
So I think a lot of it was where I grew up, who I was around. My dad rode saddle broncs in college. I was born in Wyoming on a big family ranch. It's been our family for over 100 years, and so cowboying was just part of life. And then we moved to South Dakota, and my dad just being around rodeo in that area. Rodeo is the number one sport. Like I live in Texas now, and it's football. But you go up there, it's rodeo. I mean, and people know their rodeo and they follow it. And in my school at that time was a lot of very talented rodeo athletes. I'm talking fourth, fifth, sixth grade that went on to win world titles. Like out of that class, I mean, we're at K through 12 had maybe 150 total students. So I'd say small school.
Okay,
So
pause for a second.
yeah.
Is this a school bull riding team, or are you riding
So
broncos, or
you
what are you
you
riding?
can in high school. They do have high school rodeo teams, but I had a couple friends that their parents raised bucking horses and bulls. Then my dad started raising them too. And so it just was around. So we're fourth, fifth grade and we're riding steers and we're going to rodeo. So it's something we're doing, but it was just a big part of our school. And so just that school and the surrounding ones, you had probably 10 or 12 guys that went on to be some of the best in rodeo professionally out of that little area that we were all growing up together. And so it was just part of who you were, and most of them went on in saddle bronc riding because that's big in South Dakota. I stuck with bull riding.
Okay, so I'm gonna slow you down a little bit.
Mhm.
So I was gonna ask, where do you find a bull? Like, for
Yeah,
example, if I wanted to do bull riding,
yeah.
I'd have a tricky trick, and I'm in a rural area, but how do I find a bull to ride? So your dad got you a bull. Is that
Well,
correct?
so yeah, so stock contractors are there who provide the buck and stock for rodeos, and you have just like with any sport, you have different levels that kind of go up, and a lot of the stock contractors will have different levels of bulls and horses as well. And South Dakota was a big hub for that, and so with one of my best friends, dad being a stock contractor, we had unlimited amount of bulls we could get on and bucking horses. And then once my dad started raising bucking horses, we had an arena at our house that my dad built. Most kids want a pool or a tree
Yeah.
house. My dad built us an arena. So all the friends would come to our house and then we would buck almost every afternoon. We were bucking horses and bulls and
Okay.
getting on almost every day. So
What does mom say about you getting on a bucking animal at 10 or
she
whatever?
prayed a lot of prayer, especially when I was 11. I took a horn between the eyes and split all the way to the bone. And the doctors were like, if it had been an inch to either side, I'd have lost an eye. an inch lower or higher, it could have killed me. And that's when I started wearing a helmet, actually. And so my mom she prayed a lot. She was,
Mm.
but it's a lot like, a kickboxing mom. Like, they know you love it. I would do a lot of schools, and moms would come to me with their young kids, and they'd say, don't let my little Timmy get hurt. And I would be like, actually, you kind of want Timmy to get hurt because if he gets the adrenaline rush and you kind of ease him into it, he's going to get addicted to the adrenaline. And even though he may be scared, the adrenaline will overpower that fear. But if he gets just chili whopped and the powder gets damp, he's never going to want to do this again. Now, if he gets chili whopped and hurt and he keeps wanting to do it, there's nothing you can do he's going to want to ride bulls. And that's usually the best bull riders are those ones that it just drives them even more. So, but my mom was always supportive. She just always prayed up about it. She became the rodeo mom for a lot of those kids. They called her their rodeo mom. She went to all the rodeos, cheered for all of them like it was her own kids. I mean, a lot of them practically lived with us, and so we'd really built a hub of we all understood that we were going to do this professionally. We all understood there's a group of us that have the ability to do that. And so we went into it at a very young age, almost like a skate park of kids that are not just going to skate for fun, but they're like, we're going to be in the Olympics someday. It's that same mentality. And so we all went in with at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, all the way through high school of we are going into this with the mentality that we are all going to ride professionally one day. And like I said, world champions came out of that group, and so
Okay.
and a lot of national finals qualifiers. So
Okay. Okay.
you I go fast. I apologize.
That's okay. I'm like, wait. I got more questions. Okay. So I'm envisioning like little league. Is there rodeos every Saturday in the fall and every Saturday in the spring? And you get up Saturday morning, put on your little chaps and go do this?
So we had what's called Little Britches Rodeo Association, NLBRA, and so they would put on rodeos a lot. We had the 4-H. South Dakota, I believe, is the only state that 4-H has rodeo in it. So you had your 4-H rodeos as well, and then you had just bull ridings and things like that. So we would go compete on the weekends quite a bit, and then practice at the house during the week. And then once you get kind of junior high, when I was riding, there wasn't as much, but now there's just a plethora of ways to compete. They have miniature bulls now that you can kind of work your way through. We didn't have those back then. So at 12 years old, you're getting on regular sized bulls and you're learning. And we had some really rank stock in our area at the time. So we learned pretty quickly. And especially saddle bronc riding, that is South Dakota is the state of it's known as the saddle bronc riding state. So most of those guys rode saddle bronc horses instead of bulls.
Okay. So my audience is very like
Mhm.
fitness, and maybe some
Yeah.
of them know about bull riding and bronc riding, but some of them are just runners and they lift weights. Explain the difference to them between bareback and saddleback broncs and then bulls. There's like
Yeah,
rebel.
so rodeo has different disciplines in it, much like skiers have different disciplines. You can do as many of them as you want. And so the three what's called rough stock events is bareback riding, saddle bronc riding, and bull riding. Bull riding, very self-explanatory. You're putting your hand in a bull rope and you're riding a bull. Bareback riding is on bucking horses, and the only thing you're hanging on to is this. It almost looks like a suitcase handle, and they spur from the neck to the rigging and the back to the neck, so it's more of an up motion. And then saddle bronc riding is the oldest, most historical. It's like breaking horses, and so you're in a saddle that's designed specifically for it, and the only thing you can hang on to is a rein that's attached to their head, and then you're spurring more of a motion like this, and that horse is bucking across the arena. And so saddle bronc riding to me is the most beautiful event in rodeo. It's poetry. It's when watching a good horse buck and a good saddle bronc rider ride them is it's one of the most beautiful things you watch in rodeo. And then you have roping events as well. So there's all kinds of different disciplines, but those are the three rough stock events.
Okay. So why did you choose a bull over a bronc?
So I loved all of it. I loved saddle bronc riding, thought I wanted to do it. I was good at bull riding, and so it was something I knew it was something I knew I could excel at. And at that time, the money was in the bull riding. All the other events didn't pay as well. The PBR was really starting to become popular, and they were paying $50,000 a weekend. And so in rodeo, that was huge money back then. I mean, now, I mean, there's events paying $1 million a weekend, but at that time, it was unheard of to hear that. And but the biggest decision for me was my brother when he was 18 and I was 16. He got in a rodeo accident riding saddle broncs and he broke his neck
I
and he's paralyzed from the armpits down. And so that was kind of a big deciding factor for me of sticking with the bull riding. And a lot of it was saddle bronc was his event, bull riding was my event. And People always got Nick and Nate confused, and they still to this day they get us confused. And so sticking with bull riding and him riding broncs, it was kind of something that gave each of us our own little path rather than both of us doing the same thing.
Okay, and honestly, I was at a PBR event. I think it was either Oklahoma or Utah. I think it was Utah in the fall, and it was incredible. But also watching these cowboys, their your spinal columns flailing forward and back, and I just thought, how did it's the most relaxed version of human movement. I can see it doesn't. Maybe you're not relaxed at all.
No,
The
every single
flailing.
muscle in your body is being used. Every single
I
muscle.
don't know how you're not all paralyzed, and then when the bulls get crazy and they would introduce the bulls specifically, "This bull hasn't been ridden in a year. This bull's a maniac from Montana, and it's only been ridden once, and, our cowboy may or may not survive this type thing." So,
Yeah, the bulls are just as much athletes as the competitors, and you know
they're
them,
ranked.
fans know them. You get game film on them. You have a history against them. They know you. You know, if you've ridden a bull before, they'll know you when you walk up to them on the chutes. Like they remember you, and so there's especially when on the PBR where you're all traveling together, and it's just the same thing in different cities. You get to know each other. That bull gets to know you. You get to know them, and so when you draw the same bull multiple times, stuff like that, yeah, it's definitely but bull riding it's very dangerous. Just rodeo in itself. If you do it professionally, you're gonna break your neck or back at some time. And you're dealing with animals. They're unpredictable. They're the rankest animals in the world. And so when they buck you off, it's like getting in a car wreck at 65 miles an hour. So I actually have 8 friends who were paralyzed. 7 of them from rodeo accidents, 1 of them from a car wreck. But I have 8 friends in my rodeo world that are all paralyzed
I
because it's
mean,
just part of the world.
that, like, trumps the NFL by a bazillion.
Yeah.
By a percentage-wise, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And so your brother was stepped on, is that correct?
No, he landed wrong on
Yeah.
his head. He
Okay.
landed straight up and down. He actually landed the same way that Christopher Reeves, I don't know if you remember
Yeah, of
Christopher Reeves played
course.
Superman,
Yeah.
and he actually had the same doctor was his doctor in Rapid City, the same doctor that was Christopher Reeves' doctor, and he said it was a very similar break and it didn't just break the neck, it shattered it all the way up and down. I wanna say it was like 4.5 hours surgery just cleaning all the bone fragments out before they could even do the surgery.
So as part of my master's degree, my master's is exercise and sports sciences.
Mhm,
I had a whole semester course on just the spinal cord. And the most alarming thing I was told on the first day is that your spinal cord is the consistency of an overripe banana.
mhm,
And so it is so fragile. And then, of course, wherever you injure it, it's usually that point down is paralyzed. Most of your friends who have these spinal cord injuries and paralysis, was it from impact or was any of
mhm.
it just the bucking motion?
No,
If
because
nothing, I imagine the discs are being
yeah, I mean,
throttled everywhere.
you're more hitting the ground is worse on your body than the actual riding. The riding, you're in a lot more control than it looks. Bareback riders, they get thrown around quite a bit just because of the nature of that sport and how they're sitting and the only one point of contact. So they get thrown around quite a bit more. But the ground is does more damage to you than being on their back. The safest place is on their back. You're using every muscle in your body. Ty Murray had a show one year where it's like celebrity bull riding
Mhm.
and he had a UFC fighter, and I can't remember. He's a Hall of Fame UFC fighter, but he was on it. And the first day he rode a bull, he was laid up the next day, and he said, "I found muscles in my body I didn't know existed
Yeah.
that are sore because there's not a muscle in your body you don't use, but you're almost this loose tight, if that makes sense. Like with
Yeah.
fighting, you want to be loose, but you also kind of want to be bull riding. You're very compact. It's all in your core. You're wanting your back to be straight. You're wanting your shoulders to be over their shoulders and lifting up. You actually don't want to sit on a bull's back. You want to be up over your rope. If you're sitting on your back, you're at the power. You're at the they could throw you around. So you want to be up on your legs. And so it's a lot like riding motorcycles in a sense that you're loose, but you're also very tight. So you're not really getting tossed around as much. Yeah, it looks like it, and you get whiplash and stuff, but you stretch so much before. You're in such good shape. You have to be in an immaculate shape that that doesn't it's the ground and them stepping on you. So I have friends who broke their back and neck from landing on their head. When I broke C2 in my neck, I landed right on the point on the back of my head. That's how I broke it. But T10-11 on my back was because the bull jumped, and when I landed, he flipped sideways, and my momentum flipped him over, and he landed on my back full weight.
Jeez.
One of my best friends, J.R. Bazane, he's really famous in this sense. You would love him. He just did a Spartan race with a bunch of friends. He's
Oh,
paralyzed from the stomach down.
yeah.
He just did it on Sunday, but his horse flipped over on him, and so he landed. The horse flipped over on him, and it just folded him and he just you could hear the snap when it landed, and so it's just different. You're dealing with animals, and so there's things are going to happen. And being hurt is part of it. The thing you tell yourself in rodeo is it's not if I get hurt, it's when and
When.
how bad.
Okay, so let's go to the good stuff that you can control.
Yeah.
So I'm very observant of the cowboys I see riding bulls, and cowgirls are very, very fit. So besides riding bulls, what kind of things did you do to stay in shape? What do your friends do to stay in
Yeah.
shape for?
So core is very important. With my brain injury, the hardest thing for me is I can't work out because if my heart rate gets above 250, I pass out. So
Mhm.
it's completely taken that side out of it. But your core is very important because that's the only thing you can, no matter where you're at, if you're back, if you're forward, your core is the only thing to keep you in. Your core and your legs. So I would have to rotate a lot of core exercises because if you did the same type of crunches, the same type of sit-ups, you'd stall out. So you're always rotating different types of core workouts, and then you're not working full body. You don't in bull riding, you don't want to be as buff. Bareback riding, you kind of want to be a little more buff because you're curling and you're compact and you're but bull riding, you want to work certain muscles. So your grip strength is extremely important. Your riding arm is extremely important. But one of the things I would do is I would run 1 to 2 miles every day, but I would take a big thick tractor chain and I would put it behind my back and then up and over my shoulders, and I would drag that tractor chain behind me because then I'm running, but I'm also resistance running and working on my legs because your groin muscles are extremely important. So you're doing a lot of leg muscles, a lot of core muscles, and you're not necessarily building your chest as much. You do some, but you don't want to get almost like Tim Tebow got almost too muscular to be able to throw a football. Same thing with bull riding. So you have there's guys that now they are workout gurus for different rodeo sports. You've
Yeah.
got like Doug Champion does and they specify in your sport and the workout for that. Wiley Peterson was one of my really good friends riding bulls. He was one of the first to really capture that. I need to work on specific. I don't just need to go to the gym and work out. I need to work on these specific muscles. And so you do a lot of core, a lot of legs. That's kind of your main, most important. And then flexibility is crucial. If you're not flexible, you're going to get hurt a lot more.
Yeah, for sure, because your body will move in those particular directions whether you like it or not. It's just fascinating to see what's going on with these cowboy bodies while they're being bucked around. Especially in my head, other people are like, "Woo, the show," and I'm looking thinking, "Holy crap on their obliques and their neck."
Well, and you have to be limber because you get thrown off. You don't wanna land on your head, so you have to be able to twist your body in the air. You have to so it used to be made fun of, but after Tom Murray did it, it became everybody gymnastics was a big part of a lot of rodeo guys' childhood because you learn to control your body, and you're doing the same riding a bull can be a lot like ice skating because it's centrifugal force, and so that bull's spinning, and ice skating, they bring their arms in and out, and so if you get drop down in a well on a bull, you can bring your arm in, and that centrifugal force will suck you back up and out. And so you learn different things around it. And some of the best bull riders out there, they're phenomenal at gymnastics and things because they learn to control themselves in the air and control themselves in the moment, making a split second. You do a lot of time riding bulls. You're 8 seconds on the bull. Every 8 seconds on a bull has been hours on a stationary barrel, training your muscle memory for the little tiny movements, getting on a horseback without anything, riding them horseback, up and over jumps, training your body, getting out of shape and training your body when they hit the jump. When a bull is crested is when you make your move. So you'll see bull riders, you go up and over a bull when they're coming up. When they crest, you make your move, and then you reset when they kick. And so you'll see you train your body to make the moves because you're not gonna be able to think it's happening so fast you won't be able to think, "Oh, I need to do this, 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 and this." You need your body to automatically do it. And so, for every 8 seconds you see on TV is hours
Yeah.
off a camera just working on muscle memory.
Yeah, I mean, It's a wild sport. So I remember when I was fighting, I was so excited to get to my matches
Yeah.
always. I mean, e elation, it's hard to describe, but also as they were calling my name, "In the blue corner, here comes Fitz." All of a sudden, there was this voice in my head that was saying, "Go the other way, feet, go the other way. What are you
Yeah.
doing?" What was the fear, anxiety, mental space for you before?
Bull riding, a lot of it happens. A lot of guys fight their head in the chutes when you're in the chutes getting ready.
Yeah.
The thing with bull riding that sets it apart from most other sports is in fighting, you make a mistake, you got time to recover. In football, you make a mistake, hey, you get to do another play. In bull riding, you make a mistake, it's probably costly, and so you have to be on your game, and so you cannot have any doubt in your mind whatsoever. Because if you have any doubt in your mind whatsoever, you're going to subconsciously make mistakes, and so you almost have to clear your head, and you kind of go through that all, and you just kind of dance it out, get it all out, and then when you drop your legs in the chute, you can't think about it at all. But there's so many times you like sliding up on your rope, like, I wonder if I nod my head now, if it'll be a different outcome if I wait have a second. Okay, if I nod my head, well, what if I had and so you have this like trying to be, but when you get to where you ride bulls good enough, you actually clear your mind enough that you'll be riding a bull, that bull will be bucking, and you're thinking about what kind of pizza you want to order
Oh,
afterwards.
boy.
Like your mind is so clear that you're just, okay, make this move, but
Yeah.
you're just, it's this tunnel of because if you're thinking, you're usually going to overthink, and so
Right.
you want to have this clear mind. So when you're in the shoots, you have to train yourself to just, you have to zone all the noise out, and you cannot let yourself be afraid at all, because if you are, not only are you going to get yourself hurt, but there's people in the arena, bullfighters, you're going to get them hurt as well. And so you have to just, it all happens kind of walking down the tunnel, taking your rope, hanging the rope up, all those nerves are there. But when they announce your name, like you almost get into this click mode of,
Yeah.
I hear my name, boom, it's showtime. And the bulls do the same thing. They hear their name, you'll see them,
Mhm.
they'll stiffen up a little bit, they'll move around, they buck their guy off, you'll see them, like next time you go to a rodeo, watch this, you'll see a bull buck a guy off, and sometimes they'll prance and they'll stick their chest out, and they know what they've done, and so, and some bulls like bull riders, and they'll jump back up underneath them because they want that rider to ride them because they like that guy. So but you can't overthink, because if you do, you're gonna get yourself hurt and somebody else hurt.
And we will be right back.
Are you looking for the perfect gift for a loved one battling cancer? The Cancer Comeback Series by Fitz Koehler offers hope, inspiration, and practical guidance. With Your Healthy Cancer Comeback, My Noisy Cancer Comeback, and The Healthy Cancer Comeback Journal. These books are a lifeline for all patients and survivors. Right now, you can order autographed copies at a special discount. Show your support and help a loved one go from sick to strong. Visit fitzness.com today. That's FITZNESS.com. Fitzness.com.
We're back. Yeah. So this is very, I think, relevant to our listeners because many of them run marathons or do triathlon and so forth. And I would have the same thing. I would have those thoughts walking into a ring, but the second that bell rung, ding, ding, that was it. Game on. And so I hope when they hear runner set go and they start
Yeah.
putting one foot in front of another, they just
And then about the 20-mile mark, it's when the mind really starts going at you. My wife runs marathons, and that's what she says. I wish I could, but I'd pass out too many times. So
Okay.
she runs marathons, and that's what she says. That 20-mile mark is just a mind game for that
That's it.
last 6.2 miles. She said, "Don't ever forget the point two. That's the most important
Yeah.
part
Yeah,
of the
your
race."
body
And so,
your body will do it. You just gotta convince it to, right?
yep, yeah, exactly.
Okay, so going back, what was your absolute favorite part of riding a bull?
My favorite part of riding bulls, are you talking about the actual riding bulls or just
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
to it? The actual riding bulls is you're in this tunnel, and I'm sure fighting's the same way. You get this like sound of focus.
Yeah.
And when you're in front of a crowd large enough and you're making a ride good enough that the crowd breaks that barrier.
Hmm.
That because you've been, if you've been riding bulls your whole life, from 9 years old to 18 years old, you've never experienced that because you've never been in front of a crowd that big. And then you're 18 years old, you're on national television, a huge crowd, and you're making a ride. The first time it happened to me, I bucked off because I didn't know. It caught me so off guard. I didn't know. Like I just kind of startled and hit the ground. Like it just caught me off guard. But it's when you're riding a bull and that crowd breaks that barrier, it is the coolest feeling in the world. Like it drives you or if you jump off a bull and you're like, especially if a bull hadn't been ridden, and you jump off them, you rode them, and it's just like that thing of I just did something nobody else has ever done. And then sometimes I'd be getting hooked on by a bull. I'd be on the ground, and bull's hooking me up, hitting me with his horns and throwing me around, and I'm laughing, thinking I'm probably the only person in the world that's doing this right now.
Oh,
There's probably
boy.
nobody else that's having this happen to them, and so there's just so many layers. But riding bulls, to me, the thing I loved the most about it, honestly, was getting to travel and meet people, getting to spend time, the brotherhood between bull riders. You're traveling hours and hours, thousands of miles on the road, just driving and pulling pranks on each other, and just the bonding of that. But then getting to go places. I did a lot for Make-A-Wish. I used to love when they would bring me a Make-A-Wish kid and their family, and I would take them around to the locker rooms and have them back on the back of the chutes and let them pet a bull. And like, I love that side of it because it was like it gave me a voice to help people who usually can't do something like that. So I miss that more than I do the actual riding bulls. But honestly, getting tapped off on a bull that's spinning, like if I could get on a bull spinning into my hand, backing up into me a little bit, and just fading across the arena and still be physically able to ride them, I would trade my entire life to just to do it one more time, because it's such a cool feeling.
I believe it.
The
I believe it.
adrenaline is like you can't even put into words the adrenaline.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a very girly question. You're gonna have to answer it.
All right.
Tell me how important the outfits were to you as a competitor.
So
Favorite part.
the shaps are important. So you see
Yeah.
my shaps behind me. That pair right there that was my high school shaps. I got those in high school, junior high. I don't know if you can see in the
What?
video, but they're actually torn. I had a bull step on them and ripped them completely through, so they're stitched together. And then
Okay.
when I made the PBR, which is like the NFL of bull riding, my dad and brother got me this pair, and that was my pair of shaps on the PBR tour. And
Mm,
so those meant the world to me. Everything else, I didn't care. I had a black vest. The sponsors always looked cool. Saddle bronc riders, they're going to be a little more iron shirts. The ropers are the ones that are like they're clean cut. Calf ropers, especially, they're just clean cut and look like they're about to go into a law firm or something. But bull riders, we show up where our shirts are a little bit wrinkly, and we're throwing on the same pair of pants that we just rode a bull. We've ridden 60 bulls on that pair of pants, and so you keep them in your gear bag, and so you're not as concerned with it. The shaps is important. That's your personality, the color choice, the look, everything
and
like that.
would
So,
you wear those chaps every time you competed, or did you
mhm.
have a variety? Okay.
The only time I would not wear those chaps is if it's muddy, and so those chaps traveled with me. And if it was muddy, then I'd put those chaps on, or if it was really muddy, then I wouldn't wear any chaps, because you just didn't want to get them, in them too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who's your favorite boot manufacturer?
Oh man, there's some really good ones, but I have to give a shout out to R. Watson boots.
Okay.
And so Justin, when I was riding bulls, took really good care of me. They were amazing. R. Watson boots. He come out of that trend, and they really take care of my dad and brother. They sponsor a lot of the stuff, the rodeos that my brother puts on, and my dad's
Oh, your
bucking
brother
horse.
puts on rodeos?
Yeah, my brother puts on rodeos and
Love it.
produces them, and he produces some pretty. He produces the NFR Buck and Horse and Bull sale, which is the biggest sale on the planet. It's the most
Wow.
prestigious sale. He produces it, and then he runs a website called the Breeders' Connection, and so he is the leading broker in the world. That
Badass.
your fighter, was just taking phone bids the other night from Dana White on his sale, for
Really?
wanting to buy. Dana White's got some bucking bulls, and so he was bidding on some bulls, and so his clientele is just amazing, but he is the leading guy. There's a lot of other guys do it, but everybody kind of looks at him as the main guy. But R. Watson Boots is they take care of my dad, they take care of my brother. So I told my contact over there, I said, if you take care of my dad and brother, I come along as a package. So I will always promote them. They do an amazing job. They're a newer company, but they're great boots.
Okay, so how many pairs do you have?
I have one pair. I
What?
don't. I have one pair, and up until up
Wait,
until last
only one
year,
pair of boots?
yeah, two. I have two pairs. I'm sorry, but my son wears the other pair. So I wear a pair of shoes for 10 years and then get a new pair of shoes, and then those become the shoes I mow the lawn in. So up
Oh,
until this year, my wife, she runs in Brooks. And so her brother he was a doctor in the army. Now he's an emergency room doctor. Every year he buys everybody a pair of Brooks. So now I have three pairs of shoes. So I'm like, man, I don't know what to do with three pairs of shoes and two pairs of boots. But I'm just one of those. I don't like owning a lot, so I just get me the one pair and I'll wear them till they have to be duct taped together. Then I'll go get another one.
So funny. I probably have about a dozen pair of cowboy boots, but and I got some great pink ones recently. They bring so much joy to my heart. But
Yeah.
I have my brown pair I was wearing yesterday, and I was like, I think these are 25 years old, and
Yeah.
they're beautiful. They're still in beautiful shape, and I've worn them to death.
Well, I will say this, if our Watson is watching this and they see this and they want to, I'll wear as many pair of boots as they send me. So,
Oh, what?
yeah, so if our
All
Watson,
right.
if you see this, I'll take a pair of those too. So, no, I'm
And
just
send a pair
joking.
to me. You need a
Yeah.
fitness pro in
Yeah.
your
They're amazing.
world.
I've got a lot of friends who are sponsored by them and stuff, so I'll always give them a shout out. So,
So you're
yeah.
willing to have more than one pair.
I'm willing to have more. I just don't like what I spend my money on. Is like if I've got a pair that works, I don't need to buy another pair. It's kind of when I was riding bulls and was getting free pair, I'd have like 4 or 5 pairs. I'd give them away. But now that I have to buy them, I'm a little more stingy.
All right, I'm gonna teach you about cowboy boots. Every pair you have will bring major joy to your heart. You gotta know that. So
I don't know. My wife would probably agree with you, but if I look in my closet and I see more than one pair I bought, it actually does the opposite. I'm like, what am I wasting my money on? I don't need that many shoes. So
just
I've never been able to understand the fascination with it. And so
gosh,
if
it's
now
cool.
now that being said, I'll own 60 video games. I don't care. Like 'cause that's a therapy for my brain. And so like that's something I'll spend my money on.
Right.
So yeah.
Don't hold that same standard for your wife. She deserves all the
Oh,
pairs.
no, she can have as many as she wants,
Okay.
and she gets 2 or 3 new pair of Brooks every year because she wears them out running and she boots whatever she wants, so she's my queen. She can have anything she
Good.
wants.
That's the right answer. And what about hats? Do you have a favorite
I
hat?
do, so my favorite hat, I have a custom hat Star of the West hat company made me. It's my favorite cowboy. It's a felt, and then
What
that's the
color?
only one that I keep and that I like, that is the one I wear on stage all the time. Just it's fit for my head perfect, and it was custom made, and they did an amazing job. And then I have some straw hats and stuff, but that Star of the West hat is my favorite.
What color is it?
It is a smoky black. So it's a black with it's started with black beaver, and then you put some gray beaver kinda mixed in, so it looks like you're on a black wall and somebody puffed cigarettes, or a cigar, and
Okay.
so it's got this, like, smoky. It looks super sweet.
Okay, so let's back up for a second. I know some people are probably horrified of bull riding is so mean to the animals. And so what I've learned, what I perceive is that the animals are enjoying it. They're
Yeah.
treated like superstars. They're treated like royalties and they're having a lot of fun. Tell me I'm right, tell me I'm wrong.
Yep, so I
Explain it.
actually talk about it in my book, Knocked
That's
Out
great.
but Not Down, because I was like, if I'm gonna shed some light on the rodeo world, because we've sold 40,000 copies now, and I would say 75% of those have been people outside the rodeo world, if not more. And so I really tried to shed some light on that. So here's the best way to explain it. Everybody always says, "Oh, they're tying a rope through their testicles." They are not. You don't know the anatomy of a bull if you think they're tying it through their testicles, because you got to get back under their legs to even get to where their testicles are. And I would pay money to see somebody try to run a rope through that and keep their arm from getting ripped off. What that rope is it goes around the flank muscle. If you ever get flank steaks, if you go to the store and get flank steaks, that's the muscle. So think of it like the webbing on your hand. You got that little webbing sticks out a little bit. Where their back leg is, there's a thicker webbing comes across. That's a flank steak, or the flank muscle. That this rope goes around that flank muscle, and it has the same effect as if a reflex, somebody hitting your knee and you reflex a little bit. So what that does is it aids the bull in kicking so that they're not harming themselves. I liken it to basketball, to a pair of sneakers on a basketball player. That basketball player can run out there in their socks and make shots and probably jump and hit the rim, but it's going to be a little harder, possibly get himself hurt. The flank rope just gives them that aid when their back end comes up. It causes that little bit, and it causes the back end to come up more, and it prevents them from hurting themselves, but it also just aids them in that motion. And so the flanks actually does more help than harm. And so if you put it in them too much, then yeah, you're going to have some issues. But stock contractors, you have to understand, these animals are their family. They don't raise them as like torturing. These animals are, and they're expensive. They're not cheap. They're tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, each animal. And so they are going to treat them with those bucking bulls and bucking horses are some of the most spoiled animals on the planet. And stock contractor would do nothing to. if one gets hurt and they have to put him down, you'll see cowboys who never crying because they love them animals so much. So the whole myth of they're tying something around their testicles, it is the biggest myth. You can look at a picture from behind of a bull bucking and you won't see it anywhere near. It's going over that flank muscle,
Okay.
and it's just aiding that bull in that kick. So like tennis shoes on a basketball player.
And riding itself is not torture for the animal. They're having fun. They're
No.
playing. They're
You turn these bucking bulls out in cooler weather, and they're bucking around, they're jumping. You put a pile of fresh dirt in their pen, and I encourage everybody to go watch Nothing But Try Ranch. Go check them out on social media. Nothing without a G. Nothing But Try Ranch. They're good friends of mine. One of the guys that lived at our house and raised, but they do a lot of videos of their bucking bulls. Their daughter will go out in the pasture and climb on them and ride them around out in the pasture, just walking around and scratching their belly, and then they'll show that bull 2 hours later on national television bucking off one of the best bull riders in the world. And so, but they'll like you'll y they have a lot of he has pictures and stuff that shows them bulls. They're pampered, they're babied,
like
and they're bred to buck, but he'll have videos when they put fresh dirt in the pens, and them bulls are hitting the dirt, throwing it, jumping, bucking around, spinning. When they're having fun, they're bucking, and they love it. Bucking horses especially, man. Bucking horses, when they buck someone off, they prance, just this pride that they have in what they do, they love it. And so just like a racehorse loves racing and loves
yeah.
running, these horses love bucking.
That's good. Thank you for
Mhm.
sharing. I'm sure
Yeah.
some people are questioning it. I also, when I'm at a rodeo, I do root for the steers that are being roped. Like in a
Yeah.
roping competition, I'm always
Yeah.
rooting for the animal.
I always root against ropers anyway, so you're good. So there's a friendly rivalry between loopies and roughies, and so but we when it boils down to it, we all love each other. It's like South Dakota, East River, and West River. You're gonna make fun of East River all you want, but when it boils down to it, you're still from South Dakota, so we still love you. So the rodeo's the same way, but you'll never pass an opportunity to get a dig at a time limit guy. So
Of course. Okay, so you have had 50-ish concussions.
that we know of. So they figured that I had 26 concussions in my collegiate and professional rodeo career. So that's not counting any that I might have had in high school that we know of. So some of them, like, there's no question I would have had one. They've tacked those on to like 30 to 31 concussions that there. Once I started passing out, I hit my head or I'll land harder. The more concussions you get, your brain gets loose inside the skull. And so now if I turn my head too fast, I'll get knocked out and
Is that
sometimes get a
right?
concussion.
So that kinda makes you like a fainting goat. Like you just
That is
boom.
my nickname. My nickname amongst my best friends is FG. So fainting goat. That's what they call me. That's my gamer tag on video games. It's the amount of videos to get for my friends of goats falling to the ground. I get tagged every time somebody has a video of there was the video of that UPS driver drove by and his truck backfired and all the goats fell over and
Yeah,
everybody's joking
that's
like, oh,
true.
they're gonna be showing up with a neck brace at the lawyer. I got tagged in that video so many hundreds of times, like, and I laughed every time. So that's I am a fainting goat, like, and we have what's called the fainting goat club. So and that means that you have been in the presence when I pass out. And everybody's like, I kind of want to be a part of that, but I also don't want to be a part of it, because
How
they don't.
often does it happen to you?
It really depends. Weather change has a lot to do with it. So there's times I can go 2-3 weeks without it, and then there's sometimes I'll pass out a dozen times in one day. And so,
No.
yeah, and so if I'm having issues, so here about a month ago, dumbest thing, in a bed, pulling the covers up, they're tucked into the bottom. I'm trying to pull the covers out, and I yank them. My hands slip off. Have my phone in my hand. I hit myself in the chin. Shouldn't be any issue. My wife said I went full fencing, just full knocked out, stiff as a board, and was out for like over 5 minutes.
Yeah.
After that, for the next 3 weeks, I was having 2 to 3 seizures a day and was passing out probably about 10 times a day
Do
for
you
about 3
wear
weeks.
do you walk around with protective equipment? Because I imagine, like, you shouldn't be hitting the ground and breaking your nose and your teeth and stuff.
So I have a dog that's learned to kind of warn me about this. In fact, earlier today, right before I texted you that my computer or my power went out, I was actually doing the National Speakers Association has a last story standing, and I have a story about this dog saving my life, jumping in the pool after me when I passed out into the pool and saving my life, and so I was recording that for the regional finals, and but I have a dog that kind of warns me. but I've learned to kind of tell if I'm sitting down, it's easier to tell. But if I'm standing up, sometimes it'll just come out of nowhere. So I'll get this like almost like a blink light right before I pass out. And so I've learned everywhere I walk and everywhere I go, I'm looking at what walls are close to me, what
Wow.
couches or cushions are close to me. And when I get that little blink, I just throw my body in that direction. So if someone leans against a light switch on the wall, every time I like throw myself against the wall and everybody's just looking at me like, what's going on? I'm like, sorry. Did everybody else see that? I just want to make sure that wasn't just me because I get that almost like that same, and I'll just, so I throw my body in a direction. I usually protect it, but it doesn't always. I break a lot of ribs. I've broken a lot of ribs. I tore my MCL here about 3-4 months ago because I got my leg caught up underneath me when I fell, and I fell against it and tore my MCL. And so like it's painful, and it's we jokingly talked about getting those Japanese vests that you wear and they pop out,
Yeah.
but I'm
Oh,
like,
yes. I
they
want one
cost
for
like
my mom.
$1,000 every time you have to refill them, and I'm like, I'd be broke in 2 weeks. And so,
Gee.
I just learn. I learned to know what my limits are, and then I try not to travel. I do a lot of traveling and speaking, and so here's one thing that I've done, and you're gonna hate this because of being fitness. So I apologize to you
It's okay.
and all of your people, but it actually Matthew Stafford was the first person I heard talking about this, and so I
Okay.
have
Quarterback
some
for
yep
the
quarterback for the Rams,
Rams.
yep MVP this last year.
Yeah.
So I reached out to some of my NFL friends that have concussion issues and said, "Hey, I'm hearing this kind of being put out there." And then with my book, I've been talking to a lot of neurologists. And so I've been kind of asking them about what he was talking about. And where it bites me in the butt is I can't work out. So it's made me gain a lot of weight. But the thought process is high carbs and water diet. Because when you have a lot of carbs, your body is retaining water more. Well, when you lose carbs, the place that you lose water the most is from your head first. And
Hmm.
so you have water going around your brain at all times. It's flowing up and over your head at all times. And if you notice when you get dehydrated, you get lightheaded usually
Yeah.
because the water's
Or
you're losing your weight.
headaches,
So
foggy
yep.
thoughts,
And
everything.
so if you are low on carbs, your body is shedding that water and it doesn't have a place to go. And so the brain is very limited. People think putting a helmet on the outside helps, but after you've had so many concussions, it doesn't do any help because a concussion is the brain moving rapidly
Yeah.
inside the skull.
Inside the
So if you're doing a lot of carbs and a lot of water, you're building that water barrier around the head, and so it gives a lot more pressure, and you feel a lot more pressure. I think why I have a lot of problems when the pressure change, barometric pressure changes. But since starting to go on a high carb and water diet, I've stopped passing out. Every plane ride I'd get on, I'd pass out on takeoff and landing. I started doing this carbon water diet in June of last year, and I don't even know how many dozens of planes I've been on, and I've only passed out 3 times. So that stopped where before I was doing it every time. When I pass out and hit the ground, I'm not getting knocked out as easily. Unless I hit my head and really change direction or anything, I'm not getting knocked out as much. So I have become a very big believer in this high carb, high water diet. That being said, it's fringe, it's not common, but a lot of the neurologists I've talked to, they're like, it's the most logical thing to do to prevent concussions. So a lot of NFL players are starting to do this now, where they're eating a lot of carbs, drinking a lot of
Yep.
water. They're working out a lot to try to keep the weight off, but
Right.
they're trying to build that barrier around the head. Me not being able to work out because I pass out, I've put on 60 pounds in the last couple years, but it's like I would rather be heavy and not deal with all the knockouts.
Right. So a couple things right there is it's a real misnomer that carbohydrates are unhealthy. Carbohydrates are fuel. They're necessary. They're energy. And I just hope you're choosing like potatoes
Yeah.
versus Doritos for
Yeah.
carbs,
Oh
right?
no,
I'm sure.
I'm a
Good.
potato and pasta, a lot of potato, a lot of pasta. The only carb that I'm like is my evil one is bread. I like bread. So
Yeah.
that's
Well,
because that's a quick one I can put in really fast. If I'm feeling really lightheaded,
sure.
I'll eat some bread and drink a ton of water.
Well, it's like sports specific training, right? You eat for
Hmm.
the issues or the thing you're trying to do. And then, of course, oranges and bananas and broccoli, that's all carbohydrates too.
Hmm.
So 60 pounds, don't let it become 100 pounds.
Oh no,
And,
I
you
work
know,
hard
get a,
to not, but it
get a life.
definitely has made it more difficult.
I would get a life vest and get in a pool and kick your
Yeah,
leg,
yeah,
right? You can exercise. You can
oh
exercise,
yeah,
but you got
yeah.
to choose wisely. But
We're
okay,
looking. There's some equipment you can strap yourself into and exercise bikes you can strap yourself into. So my wife and I are actually looking into that right now as something I
Yeah.
can strap, because then I can pass out, wake up, start kicking my legs again, pass out, wake up, and just keep doing that. So we try to find ways. I just can't work out like I used to when I rode bulls, and
Right.
it drives me insane.
Well, there's been a price to be paid for
Yeah.
all the excitement and adrenaline and success and adventure. And I'm with you. I really crave fighting sometimes. Sometimes I watch and I think maybe just one more time. And then I
Yeah.
think, that's also ridiculous. That's
Yeah.
stupid and I should not feel that way. But I understand your craving to do so. And we will be right back. My brand new book, You Supercharge, the exact formula for fitness, weight loss, and longevity, is out right now and has something for everybody. Ladies, chapter Full Throttle Femininity is dedicated to all the things you think you can't control, including menopause, weight loss, maintaining muscle mass, building bone density, and earning yourself a JJ of steel. Guys, chapter Man Mode was written just for you. You'll learn how to combat menopause, tune up your ticker, banish a beer belly for good, maximize your muscles, and earn the most powerful pecker on the planet. From the ground on up, from the inside and out, let's supercharge your body and mind and make you unstoppable. Order signed copies of You Supercharged at fitzness.com in the United States, Amazon, everywhere else. We're back. So all of these concussions led to TBI. You were rendered speechless literally at one point. You couldn't talk and you had to earn your way back from that. And so how does all of this hardship from bull riding, how has it affected your life positively? And I know you do keynotes. What are your main
Yeah.
messages for folks?
So a lot of it, I faced a lot of adversity. 21 years old, my bull riding career is over. I've been doing it since I was 9. It's been my dream my entire life, to be this professional bull rider. And then I make it at 18 years old and I break my neck and then I break my back and then I'm injured and then it's over and I'm 21. And so having to learn new identity, learn through all that, and then having the concussion issues start to compound. I'd started doing stand-up comedy at this point when the other stuff happened, and it was really starting to take off. And doctors had told me to stop working outside because my body, when I get hot, it drains all the blood from my extremities and protects my core like you do with cold weather. But
With a static intolerance?
so it's like what happens when your body gets cold, but something in one of my concussions flipped a switch, and so when I get hot, it does the same thing. It panics and does the same thing, and that's one of the reasons I pass out when I get really hot. And I'd ignored him because you can't tell a cowboy who's been outside his entire life that he can't be outside doing stuff. So I was out doing yard work and felt my hand and legs go numb from the blood leaving them, but I kept trying to push through because I'm a guy and guys are bullheaded like that.
Mhm.
And it ended up robbing blood from my brain enough that oxygen wasn't getting to it, and a section of my brain shut down. And so I had what's called a hypoxic extemic encephalopathy, and it rendered me mute. And so everything I had faced leading up to that, with the rodeo career ending and the concussion stuff and losing a house from a hurricane and not being able to pay for it and having to figure out a way to get my family in a new home because insurance wouldn't cover it, and just all of this different stuff had built to where, okay, now I'm faced with this decision in 2020. The rest of the world is waking up out of COVID and starting to go back into the world. I'm still at home not being able to speak. And so, do I want this to be my new reality, or do I have to work through this? And so that's why I talk a lot on my keynotes is talking about working on days you don't feel like you can. Getting knocked down and getting back up is yeah, a lot of people, but you've been in the ring. When you get knocked out, it hits you from nowhere, surprises you, and it takes a minute to figure out what's going on around you. Those knockout punches are totally different than the knockdown punches. And so sometimes you're faced with stuff where you're like, I just don't want to do this anymore. And I had to face it. So the three things I had to learn: I can't control other people. I can't control what they think, what they say, what they do.
Mhm.
That is their life, and they can say or do what they want. I'm not going to let it affect me. The only three things I can control are my attitude, my work ethic, and my mentality. And if any of those three stink, I'm not going to be able to succeed, and I'm not going to be able to get to the other side. And so a lot of my keynotes is focusing on that, of getting better, not bitter. When
Yeah.
you face failure, I'm 21 years old watching all my best friends go on, and I'm watching them on television win world titles and go to the NFR and fulfilling the dream that we all dreamed together. And I'm happy for them, but I'm bitter for me. because I'm not getting to do that, And so learning that you can't get better if you're bitter because and how dangerous that can be. So I talk a lot about that, about what your work ethic looks like to get through it. If you don't have a good work ethic, and the other side of this, learning to speak on my own, by this point, my brain injury was so severe that insurances wouldn't touch me. They're like, you're too high of a risk. We cannot risk having you on our insurance. And then the ones that said they would, it was like, we can cover you, but it's going to be like $2,500 a month. Well, that's more than a house
Right.
payment. So I'm like,
Right.
I can't do that. So I am not covered by insurance. And so I can't go to a facility to have a facility take me through learning to speak again. So it literally was if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to do this. And making that decision of I'm going to have a work ethic that I get up every morning and I'm going to work my tail off. My philosophy in my life is work like it depends on me, pray like it depends on God. So I'm going to put my full faith in God, but I'm also going to put my full effort into working hard on this. And so just learning to get through that other side, and what a lot of people don't realize is the damage to my brain from the HIEs, it's permanent. It's there. And so I had to learn to open a new avenue to be able to speak, be able to do things. This is an everyday battle for me. If I take 2 days off, I'm so far behind, struggling, stuttering, slurring, can't talk. I have to do 2 to 4 hours of brain exercises every single morning to still be able to speak. And because speaking is my source of income,
Yeah.
getting up and doing keynotes, going on stage and making people laugh, that is my source of income. I can't take that off.
Of course.
I have to get up every morning and be like, okay, even if I'm not working today, even if I'm taking today off as a rest day, I still have to do this 2 to 4 hours of brain exercises. And so where the work ethic I had in the gym when I was riding bulls, I now put that in my mental gym of working my brain and being able to speak. And it's very noticeable. If I cut short and just do 2 hours 3 days in a row, I'm stuttering, I'm slurring. So I have to learn to balance, when do I sleep? When do I do these 2 hours? When do I do 4 hours? When do I do 3? And just learning to balance all of that, and knowing myself and understanding my limits, and being able to, because this in the speaking world, there's times like, I'm thinking back here a couple months ago, I had 6 events in 5 cities in 7 days.
Yep.
And you're getting to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning,
Exhausting.
getting up to
Yeah.
do a keynote at 9 o'clock in the morning. So you're like, okay, I'm gonna sleep for an hour, and then and then you're going at it. So
I would say the only great gift to stuff like that is that it's the adrenaline. I mean, it's different than riding a bull, and it's certainly
mhm.
different than fighting, but the second you step on those stages, it's like everything disappears. And
I love
it's
keynote
right?
speaking. Yeah, to me, it's like I was meant to do this. I get on stage and it's like I'm the most comfortable on a
Yeah,
stage talking to people.
same.
And it really does, but it drains a lot out of my brain. And so like it's finding that balance to do it, but I haven't loved something this much since riding bulls, to be honest with you.
Well, I can tell you, and I'm pretty persnickety about stuff like this. There's so many people who and like, and and they just
Yeah.
it's just poor speech pattern. And for someone who struggles to speak, you speak incredibly articulately, and you have a great vocabulary, and you don't stammer. It's fantastic. You
I
definitely
work very hard at it, and
do.
see, the funny thing is if I watch this back, I'll be critiquing it with like, "Oh, I was stuttering there, I was saying like, or I was
Hey,
like," so
perfect boring.
yeah. What's that?
Perfect is boring. We don't want
Yeah.
anything to do with that. We want
Well, the nice thing
yeah,
with the brain injury is if I do have some issues on stage, I can just blame it on the brain injury. Like if I forget my wife's our anniversary, it's like stinging brain injury. It gives me that little out that most people don't have. So
I dropped the chemo brain thing. I'm 6 years out, but I still think it's there. It makes me
oh yeah,
it makes me spacey, and I do feel very blonde sometimes, which is annoying because I am so smart and so capable and so driven and articulate, and I do have my shit together. Sometimes I just forget. Someone will tell me a story, and then it's completely gone from my head 30 minutes later, and I feel like a
that's
real
the
big
hardest part,
dummy.
is knowing that you should know.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
I'm on the Mensa scale for IQ, and so, like, I'm like, I should know all this stuff,
Yeah.
and math used to be so easy for me, and now I'm like, I don't trust. Like, I'll do a math problem and be like, "Oh, boom," and then I'm like, "Wait, I don't trust that, or am I remembering that right, or did I dream that, and now I'm thinking that it
Oh,
actually
right.
happened, and just And the knowing that you should know, I think is harder than the not knowing, if that makes sense. Someone like you who's been through chemo, because it is similar to a chemo brain in that sense. And you get what I'm saying is just like the knowing that you should know is worse than the not knowing.
Right, right. Well, I'm giving you an A+ for
Thank you.
articulate and intelligent and
I appreciate
enthusiastic.
that.
Yeah, you've got it all going on. So, what's next for you?
Well, the book blew me away. Like I was
Tell
not
everybody
expecting.
again what it is.
It's called Knocked Out but Not Down. In America, you can get it on Amazon. They purchased the rights to sell it there, or you can get it from seeing me at a keynote. That's really the only two places you can get it right now. But it's like I said, we're in America. In other countries, you can get it other ways, but in America, that's the. But I don't know if we passed 40,000 copies yet or not. It's only been out for 6 months, so I'm blown away that it's doing so well. But I wanted to write it myself. I didn't want a ghostwriter, and I just I'm very very humbled at a lot of the feedback people get on the writing of it and stuff. So the publishers are already wanting me to do more books, and so we're kind of looking at when do I want to do that. A lot of it is the speaking. I'm really trying to get it launched. I would love to get to a spot where I'm doing at least one speech a week. I want to do at least one speech a week and then take maybe 4 weeks off scattered throughout there. And so I'm just trying to get a lot of that. It's like pumping the water pump. Even though I got water spraying out,
Yeah,
I
of
know that
course.
that pipe still has to have water in it. And so I'm always priming the pump and trying to get more opportunities, get in front of people. My heart is I want to bless people and help people, and I can't do that if I'm sitting at home. And so I'm really trying to get out in front of people and get my story out there, get my book in front of people. The feedback I'm getting from people, the book helping them, people with concussion issues, to people who just have adversity. There's colleges now, medical colleges, that are using my book in their schools, having their students write papers on it because you're giving a behind the scenes look at concussion issues, but also just the story side of it. And so I'm just trying to bless and help and impact as many people as I possibly can. If that's through keynote speaking, if that's through laughter. I'm not. The comedy was really taking off for me, but when I had an agent come to me about the keynote speaking and said, I want to make comedy your hobby. And I was like, man, I've been working pretty hard at it. It's going to be hard. And then the first paycheck came in and I was like, holy cow, comedy is
Right.
my hobby. Like
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
can't
And
keep
so
up.
I have not been able to keep. I've got a comedy show on Friday night, and that's my first comedy show in 2 months.
Okay,
So because I just keynote's been just doing so well,
that's
and so
great.
I'm trying to keep that fresh in my mind and still doing that, but I'm also not traveling the nation as much with that because, one keynote equals about 4 weeks of being on tour doing comedy, and so it's wears on you a little bit, and so I'm trying to balance the 2. I love the keynote way more than comedy
Right.
too, but I'm here to bless people, if it's inspire them or make them laugh.
Yeah, well, you're I believe in you. Put it that
Oh,
way.
thank you.
I believe in your messages. Okay, so we wrap up the show in 2 ways. Number 1, with a communication tip. So folks know I haven't told him to think about this, but communication tip could be something like look people in the eye when you speak to them or have a firm handshake, or what is your suggestion for folks, especially someone who's relearned how to speak, on communicating well?
Everybody starts at a 10. And what I mean by that is when you meet somebody for the first time, you subconsciously give them a number even though you don't know it. 1 to 10. You rate them based on how articulate they are, how many teeth they have, how many teeth they don't have, how they smell, how they dress, whatever it is, you rate them when you meet them. And don't be so quick to judge people. Everybody starts at a 10. Then let them move that number down. If they're starting to show that they're selfish and let them, but you start them at a 10. Because if in your mind they're a 10, you're going to talk to them completely different than if in their mind they're a 1. And you never know who down the road that you're going to have an opportunity to do something with. And if you treat them like a 1 the first time you meet them, they're going to remember that. But if you treat everybody like a 10 the first time you meet them and you talk to them, you treat them like they are the most important person that you've ever met, you will make more impact on that person, and you never know what that one conversation can do for their life down the road.
Nick Morrison, that might be my most favorite communication tip a guest has ever given. So
I
kudos. I'm
appreciate
giving
that.
you a
Yeah.
10 on that. Okay. And then final question is recommend a song that people should play while exercising? Who's it by?
Oh
And what's
boy.
the name of the song? Your favorite.
Uh, man, I'm not good at that one. I would say anything from Forrest Franks right now. Anything from Forrest Franks right now.
You
He
got to
seems
give
to have a good workout vibe to him.
Forrest Franks, and give me the name of one song people could look towards.
It's going to be a good day. Good day. Forrest Frank's good day. Yep, that's a great workout. Get your day going. Hey, it's going to be a good day. Like, yep, that's a good one. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram at Nick Morrison Comedy. That's probably the best place to follow what I'm doing. So Nick Morrison Comedy there. P Nick on Facebook, and follow me on that. I keep that more personal stuff, and then the Instagram is more professional. I don't do a lot with my YouTube, but you can follow me, Nick Morrison Comedy, on YouTube as well. And the biggest thing, nickmorrisonspeaker.com, nickmorrisoncomedy.com. I'd prefer nickmorrisonspeaker.com because it's a more professional website versus the one I just made myself. And so it's got a lot of my speaker stuff on there. And the one of the agencies that I work a lot with, they build that website and maintain it. And so nickmorrisonspeaker.com. But don't ever hesitate to reach out to me, anybody. Like if I got time, I will make time, and I just want to impact people and be a blessing. And the best way to get me is to pass me on to whoever that does your conferences you go to and have me come speak at it. I promise that I will put my whole heart into making an impact on everybody there.
Oh, well, you've been a blessing to the Fitzness Show. So thank you
Appreciate
so much
that.
for being a guest. Our final assignment of the day is you have to tell everybody with gusto to get to work.
I just have to say this. I forgot to say it earlier. I don't know if anybody here, you said he was a cowboy. I don't know how many people here are John Wayne fans, but his real name's Marion Morrison. That's the line of Morrisons I come out of. So I may not do it with the gusto, but I'll definitely do it with the John Wayne get to work.
Get to work.
Hi, this is Rudy Novotny, the voice of America's Marathons. We all love how much running has benefited every aspect of our lives, so much so that most of us only wish we'd started sooner. Wouldn't it be wonderful to give the opportunity to children of today? Well, you can. The Morning Mile is a before-school walking and running program that gives children a chance to start each day in an active way while enjoying fun, music, and friends. That's every child, every day. It's also supported by a wonderful system of rewards, which keeps students highly motivated and frequently congratulated. Created by our favorite fitness expert, Fitz Koehler, Morning Milers across the country have run over 2 million miles and are having greater success with academics, behavior, and sports because of it. The Morning Mile is free to the child, free to the school, and is inexpensively funded by businesses or generous individuals. Help more kids get moving in the morning by visiting morningmile.com. Champion the program at your favorite school or find out more about sponsorship opportunities. That's morningmile.com. Long may you run.